Ladies and gentlemen, Crown of Thoughts, episode 50. I can't believe you guys have listened to me babble on about a bunch of stupid bullshit for 50 episodes. So today we're going to celebrate. And you're going to celebrate by subscribing. Ladies and gentlemen, we got one board there. This is Double A with Crown of Thoughts. First of all, rocking the Chaos and Cupcakes t-shirt I got from Mutant Minds. I'll put the link in the description. You can also get some Reality Horror Records shirts there for now. He's hosting my shit. And that's not a stupid fucking commercial like you would have on these other YouTube whatever. Well, actually, it is. It is, but it's stuff for me. All right, whatever the fuck. Today's episode, Double A here with Crown of Thoughts. Today's episode, maladaptive, right? Maladaptive daydreaming. And this, ladies and gentlemen, this is a very special episode, and it's episode 50. This is like a light bulb that went off in my head, man. And it's like maladaptive daydreaming. It's an extremely embarrassing condition where you just get so stuck in your head and create fantasy realms, and they get more elaborate as the years pass. And you're fucking daydreaming, and you pace back and forth. My very first episode, Ruminating Thoughts, was about this. I didn't know it. Thought I was the only one. You pace back and forth, man. And it's like, for me, like other people do other shit like weird hand motions and facial expressions, and they're sucked into this whole other world, man. And I'm trying to figure out, finally found this shit on my phone, fidgeting with my phone, and I'm like, oh my God, that's what I do. And it's so fucked up and embarrassing. It's weird. It's just weird and odd behavior. But then it's like, you know what? Kept looking at it. And I kept looking at it, and I was talking to my therapist about all my fucking problems and this and that. Blah, blah, blah. I've been in therapy for a fucking year, man. A fucking year, man. Cat, come on. The cat needs to decide what to do here. And it's like, I talked about this. I talked about that. I talked about this, that, the other. I just kept fucking talking and talking and talking. And eventually I ran out of shit to fucking talk about. I came up with this thing, maladaptive daydreaming. And I told her about it, and she's like, you are definitely not the only person that does that. And she said, I've known people that wore out their floors in their house, pacing back and forth. And it's like, what causes this? Try to figure out why I do it. Because I don't know what to do. I'm so far stuck up in my head, I don't know what to do, man. This is what the drug use was about. I didn't know what to do, and I just kept going further down this rabbit hole. And she was just letting me talk about all this stupid shit until I ran out of shit to talk about. And then it was like, oh, the point of this is to be in the moment. The more you just think about shit, the more neurotic and dysfunctional you're going to become. And it's like, your whole life you're going to be thinking about shit and going back and forth down this rabbit hole and then back out. It's not going to stop. You're not going to stop having problems. None of this shit's going to stop, man. But you can't. It's not important what someone else is thinking at any point in time. It's not important if you miss this person and you want to hang out with them, and it's like, why won't they hang out with me? And it's like you're stuck in your head. You're stuck in your head. They're not, and you don't know the reason. Maybe they don't fucking like you. Whatever. Not everyone's gonna like you. Some people are gonna get sick of you. It's fucking. I'm sure you've gotten sick of someone else. Fuck, man. And it's like, the more you're in that The worse it gets. And this whole time in therapy, it's not been about any of the fucking things I was talking up to her about. It's not been about any of these problems of mine. It's about the fact that I won't stop thinking about them. I talked about everything I could possibly talk about to her, and I fucking got sick of hearing myself talk. And here I am, man. I woke up this morning and I started thinking, I'm like, man, this person's fucking fake. I miss this person and this and and then I'm like, well, hold on a second. I'm stuck in this fucking rabbit hole of my own thoughts. This person's not fake. They're trying to reach me on my level and I'm just lost. I'm just drifting in my head. And they don't know what to do. And this thing's going on and this thing's going on and I just want to party and I just can't like what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to do the right thing? Slow the fuck down, man. I'm supposed to slow down and stop thinking. Well, how do you do that? I can't tell you how to do that, man. Maybe you got to go through fucking a year of therapy till you run out of shit to talk about. Because some people have so much shit in their head, they're not going to run out of shit to think about the entire duration of their life. And so they got to learn to manage it. And I got to learn to manage it because it's going to come back. It's going to come and go. There's no solution. There's no one solution to all your fucking problems, man. That's not a real thing. I kept trying to come up with it. I'm like, Eureka, I figured it out, blah, 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 blah. Now I figured it out, you could say, but it's not going anywhere, man. You're never going to have a shortage of problems. The point therapy is to become in the moment, and then you don't have to think. There's a reason I have a stack of mail, and I never can seem to get through it, and it's not because I'm stupid or lazy. It's because I think about everything at the same time. And then I think about all the bad shit that can happen if I don't do these things all at the same time. And I'm fucking overwhelmed. Then I'll start pacing. And pacing can get very boring. So that old me would drink beer, would blow lines of coke, would do anything I could to make the pacing not so fucking boring without realizing why am I pacing? It's like I'm in a state of psychosis, man. I'm stuck and no one can just fucking tap me on the shoulder and be like, bro, wake up. Nobody could tell me. No one can just tell me. I have to experience it. I had to finally experience it. And I'm thinking of the past, like, what are the bright spots I've had in the past? There's certain times I felt alive. And I don't know why. And it was like, there's certain times, and it wasn't even that I was having a good time. It could have been a rough time, but I felt alive. And so why is that, man? I remember this vacation I took with my family to Utah, and I felt really good the whole, but not at first. This is kind of my point. And so I'm going to go back. We're going to trace this back a little bit, back to Mallet. My neighbors are going to sit there and mow through this whole thing. They just turned the shit on. I think I'm going to get like go upstairs and clear a whole room out and soundproof it to start doing this show. The mic's like even in the wrong setting. I hate to fucking stop this shit. Let me pause it, I guess. See what's going on with these people. So yeah, I was on vacation with my family, and I remember this shit, and there's other things I remember too throughout my life. But the first 2 3 days was horrible because when you're stuck in your head thinking about these thoughts and you stop, you go through a withdrawal period. Once you get through that withdrawal period, you're more in the moment and doing shit. And the more you fucking watch TV, the more you think about all the bad things and everything at once, the more you don't really know what to do. You don't have no order of operations. You're just overwhelmed. You're stuck. You're stuck. You're stuck. You're stuck. You're never gonna feel alive, man. That's my problem. Getting stuck in my head. And I just finally realized this shit. I finally realized it. And it's like, you were never going to tell me I had to fucking experience it because I thought my problems were everything in the world except for this shit. And the thing is, I'll always have problems. There's never going to be an end to it. But I finally discovered it. I will create a backstory to anything someone says to the point where I don't even know what the fuck we're even talking about no more. And so every time I hear something, I create this backstory, and it's always a horrible one. And that's why my life isn't gotten to this point. And so I'm going to see if I can read you this stuff I wrote or if it's too personal. All right, let's see. Blah, 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 blah. Maladaptive daydreaming was suggested to be a symptom of people who were sexually abused as children, but uh, that's taking it to some whole other. But here's the thing: it was also suggested to be a symptom of severe ADHD. So it's very reasonable to say I pace because I don't know what to do. At this point, I have so many things I let go. I basically just gave up altogether. It's as if I don't care, but I think you guys, the audience, and me both know that I do care. And I've been doing this since I was little. At this point, it's just kind of my go-to, my coping mechanism. So I pace because I'm overwhelmed and scatterbrained, and I don't know where to start. And it's to the point I gave up. I think a lot of this daydreaming is due to technology because when you turn off the TV, the computer, and music, you're more forced to be in the moment. My buddy said, I'll never stop having problems, and therapy is about me learning to be in the present moment. As long as I'm in my head or high or drunk, I'm going to tend to be extremely neurotic and dysfunctional. So I'm thinking it's taken me this long to get out of this web or almost psychosis I seemed to be in when I first started talking to you. This is a message to my therapist. I'm thinking this maladaptive daydreaming as a self-diagnosis is my underlying problem. So that's me trying to figure out how it started. Maybe I don't have an order of operations, and by now that when there's a time that I need to do something and go to do it, it's like all of a sudden some other thing pops up as soon as I finish doing it, and I can't get ahead financially or keeping up with the house. I literally leave dishes in the sink for fucking weeks. It's that bad. And yeah, all right. So I'm just gonna read this as to what I'm saying to her. If there's inside shit that you're not gonna understand, it's you'll still get the point. Just what you said earlier. I feel like I'm not gonna be able to finish something. When I'm stuck in my head, I make up backstories to everything I hear to the point I don't even know what we're talking about. I'm fading in and out of reality, and I'm doing it for the majority of the day. I assume the worst I guess because I'm protecting myself, like you said when we first started talking. The bright spots from my past where I felt alive I could never understand. It's because I was in the moment. The vacation with my family in Utah, I had no means of escape. I had to herd with the family and stay active, no seclusion. It was horrible for the first 2 or 3 days because getting stuck in my head requires a period of withdrawal. The cocaine is a good model to use because it required like 6 months recovery and withdrawal. The more I get stuck in my head, the further down the rabbit hole I go. This morning I felt frustrated, blah blah, a little bit personal, blah 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 blah. The longer I'm stuck there, the worse it gets. I need to be in the moment. Problems won't seem as bad because I won't be making up a backstory. I'll be able to deal with things, but you're right. I feel like I won't be able to finish something. I feel like I'll miss out if I leave the room while an album is playing. I have to imprison myself and finish listening to it, even though I don't really want to. There's no one solution to my problems. They're not going anywhere. But if I'm not imprisoned by my thoughts, these problems can be manageable. They just seem unmanageable because I'm in my head. I see all of them at once and imagine all the bad things that will happen if I don't do them. Holy shit. You needed me to get all the extra shit out of my system till I could actually focus enough to get here. Holy shit. So, kind of said half of that already, anyways, but I wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything. So that's what I sent her today. And so it's not over now. I need to learn how to stay in the moment, how to keep going that direction, and how to manage it when I get lost. And when something tragic happens, you get lost in your head. And if you already seem to get overwhelmed by day-to-day activities, imagine something tragic happens, you're not fucking gonna stop thinking about it. It's just gonna go and go and go. And you're making half of it up in your head and you're redoing it every day. You're retorturing yourself. And you can get over this shit a lot quicker if you learn to stay in the moment. That's what I'm gonna learn next. And I'm not gonna sit here and keep talking about all my bullshit issues in life. The last thing I talked to her about was fucking embarrassing. I'm not telling you about it, but I told her if that story didn't do it for me, I don't want to know whatever else fucked up shit I'm gonna talk about. I don't fucking want to talk about anymore. If that shit didn't fucking work for me, then I'm barking up the wrong tree. And so this is episode 50. I've I've said this a million times, but I think I finally figured out the issue. And I'm excited, and at the same time, it's gonna, like I said, there's like a when you're stuck in your head and you try to get present, there's like a withdrawal, and it's like you would just want to like and so there's like a little withdrawal there, and it's gonna keep happening, and bad shit's gonna happen where I get stuck in my head farther, and I'm gonna have to keep, and so I'm about to learn the techniques, I guess, to keep grounded. And this has been my issue here, and this show is kind of like I've been calling it Gonzo psychology because I'm kind of back and forth in and out of talking about psychology and problems and then talking about other fucked up shit. And I coined the term Gonzo psychology for Crown of Thoughts, and maybe that's actually a fucking term, but you don't know that. For all you know, I made it up. So there we go. Did that make sense to you guys? Did that make sense? Is it like Are you like it's just like a fucking light bulb, man? Bam! I'm like, holy shit, none of the shit I'm talking about is the issue. I kept trying to find like I'm like, what traumatic thing must have happened in my childhood? It's like, oh, dude, come on, man. But there is so the issue is some people have so much shit that happened to them, and they're really not gonna snap out of it ever, and so they got to manage that shit. And some people have had not so much shit and they'll be able to work through it. And some people wouldn't have had so much shit if they didn't let it all go their entire life. And I think that's really what the therapist's job is to get people out of that fucking web, out of that entanglement of thoughts and back into real life. And if they can't do it, they try to teach them how to manage that shit. I think that I'm going to ask her, is that all your fucking job is? I could do that. Ladies and gentlemen, Crown of Thoughts, episode 50. I feel like I should do something special because it's episode 50. How about I figured all that shit out and that shit to me is special. And so when I listen to music now, it should be background. I'm not saying I shouldn't really thoroughly enjoy it and all that, but it should be more background. And when I listen to a podcast, maybe have it the background and not just like zoned out into it, but there's a certain amount of daydreaming, a certain amount of zoning out that's appropriate, and that's how you get creative as you daydream. And so it makes sense now that musicians are always fucking depressed because they're stuck in their head creating all this cool shit that we enjoy. It's almost fucking criminal. Uh, that's what I have to say today. Chaos and Cupcakes at Mutant Minds. I'll leave the link. Ladies and gentlemen, Crown of Thoughts. I'm your host, W. Good day.